We live in a time of unprecedented population growth.
In 2015, the world has around 7.3 billion inhabitants. We have added 1 billion people since 2003 and 2 billion since 1990.
People born 60 years ago have seen the population of the world triple.
We happen to be alive at an incredible time in human history where the world's population is undergoing this massive transformation.
In the UK, in the past 100 years, the population has grown by over 20 million people.
It's about 65 million, and that's a problem because we're already one of the most densely populated countries in Europe.
This is a concern to many in our society.
My head worries about rapid demographic growth in certain parts of the world where, unless technology catches up and is invested in particular countries, we will see the potential for catastrophe.
But what does it actually mean? Depending on who you speak to, there are different fates awaiting us. To some, we'll soon drastically and dramatically run out of resources. To others though, this is all just an exaggeration, something we don't necessarily need to even worry about. But who's right? What are the consequences of our growing population, and is it necessarily a bad thing? Let's find out. A UN report released in July of this year predicts us reaching 9.7 billion people in 2050 and 11 billion by the end of the century.
More people in the world means more people here in the UK, and it's already happening. Figures released in June of 2015 put the population increase at nearly 500,000, bringing us close to 65 million.
So over the last decade, the UK population has been growing by around 0.7% per annum.
Our population is kind of similar to France's population, but of course France is twice as big.
We're almost growing as fast as the rest of Europe put together. It's that sort of difference.
So, why are we growing? One reason is birth rate. We have a reasonably high birth rate compared to other big European countries, about 12.8 per thousand people compared to France's 12.6 and Germany's 8.7. This is still nothing though compared to countries like Niger with 49.8 or Mali with 47.4. Some, like Simon Ross from Population Matters, believe we should be having smaller families.
We've got a high birth rate. If you don't have kids, that's fine, number one, let's all say that. And if you do want kids, just have one or two.
Another reason though is one you've probably heard about: immigration.
Over the last decade, around 50% of the growth of the population has been due to natural increase, and around 50% of the growth of the population has been due to net migration.
Migration is a political hotcake.
Talk today about control, taking back control of our borders.
Look, of course, I want to get net migration back to the tens of thousands, which it was in the 1990s. This is not some outlandish, unachievable pledge.
For years, the UK was a net exporter of people, meaning that for quite some time, more people were leaving this country than actually coming in. Over the last 20 years though, that's changed. Of the nearly 500,000 increase in population last year, it's estimated 259,000 of that was due to net migration.
I don't think we should look at all migrants under the same lens. So those people in Calais are a different set of migrants to the migrants that have been coming into the UK over the last 100 years.
We have to say to ourselves, actually, why do we need to import all these workers to do our jobs? All these people that say, oh, the NHS depends on foreign workers. Oh, we need foreign workers because they've got the skills. Why haven't we got the skills in the UK?
One of the dangers of engaging in this debate is you can immediately be drawn down into a path of migrants are bad or population growth is bad. I mean, we are a migrant culture. So, and many people have made a very positive contribution to the economic and social fabric of the UK.
Tower Hamlets in London has long been associated with migration, being one of the most diverse areas in the country. As well as that, it's the fastest growing local authority in the United Kingdom.
In the next 24 years, it's expected to grow by 101,000 people, which is 50% more than what it is today. And this is a similar story across many areas of the United Kingdom. In fact, No country of the UK or region of England decreased in population in the last year.
But how does a rising population affect the people who live in areas like this?
When I came about 5 years ago, the rents were really cheap. Getting in the underground was much easier.
There are common issues associated with migration and population growth. A lack of space.
It is a lot more crowded than it ever was before.
A lack of housing.
You've got to apply so many places until you get to get the house.
Very, very expensive for local people. Yeah, very, very expensive.
No jobs.
It's not very good nowadays.
And even communities disappearing.
People come and go. The community is no longer what it used to be.
But is this all really the fault of a growing population?
It's partly to do with the number of people who want to live in areas, which is driving up the property prices, but there's a whole set of other socioeconomic and political factors.
It's not the people, it's the way in which we deliver solutions to the numbers of people. So we can find engineering solutions to manage food, water, shelter, energy. We can do that, but there has to be suitable investment to achieve it.
It's worth noting that this is not a new discussion.
Marine explorer Jacques Cousteau has called on world leaders attending the Earth Summit to take drastic action to stop uncontrolled population growth.
Therefore, if you ask a cross-section of the people whether they think Britain is overpopulated, a very large majority of them will say that it is.
History is littered with false predictions of our demise due to overpopulation. As you probably guessed though, these didn't actually happen, and that was due to technological advances. But can we put all of our faith into technology saving us once again?
People always think they're more clever than they are and think humanity can solve all problems. And what they forget is that our technological leap over the last 200 years has come from oil and coal and gas, these things that have been laid down over many millennia in terms of those stored fossil fuels, and we're using those up as fast as we possibly can them. And once we've used them up, that's it, they'll be gone.
I think that human beings are innovative and will find technological solutions. I think that there will be issues around food, there will be issues around water, new epidemics like Ebola or other diseases, which we will then find solutions to.
Scientific advances or not, it's safe to say as the population of the UK carries on increasing, our lives are set to change.
Yes, we do need to find other ways to conduct our business day to day. We need to find other ways to travel, we need to find better fuels, we need to find more sustainable ways to farm. We need to make sure that people understand that their purchases that they make every day have an impact on what companies decide they need to produce.
Some like to say the entire population of the world could fit into one city. Take a place like London, for example. Imagine 10 humans can fit into a square metre, which is possible, just very cosy. With London being over 1.5 billion square metres in size, that means you could fit about 15 billion people in London alone, using those numbers. They just wouldn't really be able to do anything or have any space. Now obviously, that's a bit ridiculous and would never actually happen, but it does show how big this planet is. It seems though, that the question of land isn't really the problem, neither necessarily is food or water. It's more how we consume and use these things that will eventually seal our fate. So, is population something we should be worried about?
With every population increase, most countries will also experience an economic increase. So in fact, we are all better off by having more people. We've also been able to advance technology in farming and in medicine and in transport that has led to associated economic increases and making sure that people live longer.
I think my question to those people that think population growth is okay is saying, well, indefinitely? Forever? Is there nowhere where we stop?
Most experts think the world's population will stop growing at the end of this century and will level out somewhere between 10 billion and 11 billion. It's just that we're alive right now, right in the middle of this revolution.
In a world of 7.3 billion, we already have nearly 1 billion people who don't have access to food. As well as that, at least 80% of the world live on less than $10 a day, much less than what is considered acceptable in the United Kingdom. We live in a time of inequality when it comes to resources, and, technological advances or not, most experts agree that we will need to change the way we live in order to protect our climate and our future. Life is so stressful.
There are a billion Muslims out there, so are you saying they're all wrong and you're all right?
What are we going to tell people when they ask us why you're not a Muslim anymore?